called George Clooney to the ER.
They've been trying to set themselves apart from LA.
The Lakers knew that they weren't hurting for a sender.
That's squad, dude.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Please Dunk Responsibly. I'm one of your hosts, Ben Rice. With me as always, my co-host,
Phil Webster.
All
Ready
right.
to get it going.
Let's do it. We were gone for a while, so we're giving you back-to-back episodes, catching up, getting right back on schedule. It's just like the NBA. Like, we don't know where it's going to go. We'll play it by ear.
Yeah, we're playing by ear. COVID rules, all these things are taking effect. It just depends on the weather. We're just trying to make it work, guys.
Yeah, come on. Cut us a break. You know, one of our teammates got infected. We had to shut it down for a couple days. You got to be safe. It's contact tracing.
Now we got to play back-to-back sometimes.
Yeah, it's just how
it's going to have to work.
Got to make it up.
No problem. If they can do it, if Kobe can do it, I think we can do it.
Look, if we got to do two podcasts in a week, I mean, how are we not like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant coming back from sicknesses and injuries?
Easily those two. We're just one chromosome away, maybe 5. I don't know what it is.
Couple gene splices away.
Yeah, just a couple. But we're right
honestly, what's the difference between George Mikan and Anthony Davis, really?
Oh, really? I mean, when you think about it,
nothing.
Nothing. Like 2 inches, I think. Yes.
All right. So for those of you who've never heard Please Dunk Responsibly before, what we're going to do is we're going to talk old school basketball, current basketball, and compare players to beers, beers to players, breweries to teams, all that fun stuff. It's going to be completely natural, all on the fly. We're
pretty natural. We fly by the seats of our pants in some way.
With the previous offshoot, we're a good 10 episodes in. We're pretty much masters of the craft at this point.
I would assume so, yeah. We're really getting into the swing of things, they would say.
It's a beer and basketball podcast. So I'm going to drink a beer during this episode, if that's okay with you, Phil.
Oh, no, I think that's a good idea. I think that's part of the show, we like to say.
Yeah, I'm sneaking down.
What are you drinking?
Well, I'm usually, longtime listeners know, we're big Sacramento guys. But I'm going to sneak in this Anaheim brewery, Brewery X, which I believe is a fan of King's X, the metal band from the 80s. I'm using the same logo. It's King John's Revenge Imperial Porter with coffee and cacao. It's cacao nibs, but they wrote cocoa nibs. And I'm wondering if those are different than cacao nibs. It sounds like they are.
Would not be. I think they spelled it wrong.
I think they spelled it wrong because I don't think cocoa nibs are a thing because cocoa's like ground down cacao. So
yes, it's the actual fruit is cacao. And then you make other chocolate things out of cacao. So, who knows? Maybe it's bargain basement. Maybe they got a good rate. Who knows? Does it taste delicious?
It's pretty good. Now, I will point out it is 10%. So maybe that's why they made the typo. They were drunk, and they're like, oh, didn't catch it. Things slipped through the editing process. Totally fine. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good beer. And Anaheim, more of a baseball town, I think.
Probably. They've been trying to set themselves apart from LA for a long time, which is why do that? At this point, they're pretty much your cash cow. It's like West Sacramento trying to separate themselves from regular Sacramento. It's just not a good look. Just don't do it. You need each other. Just make it work.
The California Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, brought to you by Disney, sponsored by the Mighty Ducks. Where are the Mighty Ducks? I don't even care. Who cares?
Oh, God.
Are they still in California?
They're still there.
Okay.
They're still there.
Great. Magic Kingdom. You've got it.
Yeah. That's what they hold. That's the only cards they hold in the deck is that we have Disney and you guys don't. That's all they have. And other than that, they're in trouble. I
was going to tie this beer, which is called King John's Revenge, into a redemption story because early this season we discussed the John Wall for Russell Westbrook trade, and we were so sure the Wizards won that. So sure.
Oh,
and then the Rockets outperformed expectations. I'm like, what is their record now? And they're like 10-18. I'm like, oh, never mind. Well, I guess King John doesn't have his revenge.
We don't know. Yeah, we might have been right.
We might have been right because the Wizards are coming around finally.
I think we just thought that obviously they were trading. It was garbage for garbage, and you just thought, who got the better garbage?
Yeah.
And so
who got the recycling in this deal?
Yeah, so we were like, obviously, Russell Westbrook in and out is a better player than John Wall, but John Wall seems to have fit better than we thought the Rockets would at that particular moment, but now they've kind of crashed back down to earth, and they are playing like we thought they should. Yeah. And they look like a mess too. So I don't know, again, who won this trade. Yeah. Nobody's winning.
The worst part is we went on the record and said we were wrong. And it turns out
we
might not have been. We might have just been a little... We just see the long view, and the short view is completely different than the long view. Oh,
man. Yeah, we got trigger happy there. We really should have waited that out.
I think it's because we went so hard on it, and we were so wrong early. Like, it was so... Like, Russell Westbrook was trash and clearly ruining the Wizards at the time. And the Rockets were like, even without James Harden.
By 10. It was really bad. And then, John Wall looked like he had 3 legs. Like, he was just scoring, almost getting triple doubles, making everybody better. And we were like, what in the hell is going on here? And
he was draining threes. It was crazy.
And then they got rid of Boogie. Now it seems like he's on waiver. Like, poor Boogie. Like, how mighty has fallen. Like, he was... I mean, the Kings were right the whole time, but they could have done this a lot earlier and maybe saved his career, but his career is over.
Maybe he just comes back to the Kings, just recycle him back.
Even though it's so funny is that
redemption.
They won yesterday, beating Detroit after being ahead by like 20 points and proceeding to be down somehow in the third quarter, and almost losing that game. They have they literally played 5 players that whole game. They were all in double figures, even Buddy Hield, who I can't stand, he had 15 points on like 80,000 shots. And, but they had no center presence besides Holmes. Holmes is obviously amazing. He's amazing. I don't know what you do with him. But you're not going to beat anybody with the way this team is pleasantly constructed. There's no defense. Like, he's a rebounder. He's a great rebounder.
Pick and roll guy.
Great dunker.
Glue guy.
Yes. He's a glue guy. He's just not going to he can't be your center. You need somebody in there. That's all they do is just play defense. And, they don't have that guy. And I don't think Boogie's that guy either, but Jesus, they need somebody.
He's the Tayshaun Prince of the Post.
Maybe.
Old school
maybe. I don't know. I feel like he's better than Tayshaun. I think Tayshaun worked with less, made more with less.
Yes.
And I feel like Rashard has more, but he's doing less. I think he's just surprising because he's just so athletic. But you see why he was drafted the way he's drafted, because nothing really stands out. He's kind of like that Butler situation, that Jimmy Butler, where it's he just is ugly good. He does all the physical stuff and grab rebounds and is there for putbacks and stuff. He just isn't gonna wow you off the screen, but you want him on your team.
Yeah. Ooh, I thought of a thing. King John's Revenge, the beer I'm drinking. I thought of a thing. Check this out. Let's talk about a team we never talk about, even though they're tops in the league. The Utah Jazz. John Stockton pick and roll offense, still alive and well in Utah. Huh?
Hey,
I did it.
Hey, I'm pretty sure we brought him up last podcast, but
who cares?
We didn't really, salivate over them. We keep saying, are they real? Are they not? Even though we were very quickly to tell you that the Houston Rockets were real after 10 games, and we were not
incorrect
right about that at all. Incorrect again about being right the first time.
Yeah.
But I digress. But yes, the Houston Rockets or the Utah Jazz are, I think, really deep. They're deeper than I thought.
Yeah.
And I feel like they are going to be there in the end. It's just, I need to see this playoff style. It's just so hard. It's just a different style of play in the playoffs. I don't know. They're definitely a second round team. It's just, can they beat a really good team if they're end up being the second or third seed. Like, can they beat a 4 seed? Can they beat a 3 seed? That'll be tough.
Look,
can they beat the Clippers when it matters in a 7 game? Probably.
I think,
but
if everything goes right for them, they can do it.
Right.
That's the problem.
It depends on their seed, right? Yes, they need to have the right seeding.
They need to be healthy. They need to be playing to the best of their abilities on all levels. Like, Mike Conley has to be healthy. Mike Conley has to be Mike Conley, the most underrated all-around performer.
Never made an All-Star game.
Yeah.
Impossible. It's just because he's that consistent, but doesn't. There's the point guards. You have it's a point guard league now. When he got in, and he's just not that guy.
There's no way he's a top 4 on an individual season. In an individual season, he's not a top 4 point guard. Historically, he's not a top 30. I don't think.
No.
I don't think he's there.
No.
I remember when he signed that contract in Memphis the first time, the massive contract he got, that he hadn't done anything yet. You know, he was averaging like 15 points a game. And the Kings kicked off a season against him pretty much. I think it was like the first 5-6 games. I went to a game and just heckled him mercilessly because he wasn't worth that money. So anytime he made a bad pass, I'd be like, $156 million for this.
But he was in Memphis and he was in the right place at the right time. He was a loyal guy and he was consistent. He was consistent. Yeah, he's Gary Payton now, I guess. Like, in a way, he just doesn't have the moniker, right? He doesn't have the mouth.
Yeah, I was going to say, Gary Payton was very boisterous, and Mike Conley's like, I'm just here to do my job, man. I'm just here to do it.
Yeah.
Just a small Shane Battier. That's who I am.
Well, I know Gary Payton had talked about in an interview how he almost lost his Nike deal because in his first 2 years, he really didn't live up, and he was on the Sonics. He wasn't really playing very well. Mm-hmm. And then he went on a stretch and he started playing defense more than offense, and it just led him to getting the nickname the glove, and then the rest is history. Once that happened, the Nike had something to run with, then it didn't matter anymore. Plus then he was set.
Plus the Sonics shipped Dana Barros off to Boston, problem solved, get him out of there.
Yeah, you get them
no point guard controversy.
See, that was another one. Oh, look at these. Speaking of, this is where we can get into our 90s teams. Oh, my goodness. Teams that should have done it is the loaded, packed Supersonics.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, I was there. I was there for it. I'm fully aware of what these Sonics did to my persona. My wall as a child was just clippings of that 96 finals, 97 finals.
They were the Kings before the Kings were built. They had all the pieces. They had the European shooter who just played quirky and still got points, and you didn't know how. They had the loudmouth point guard. They had the power dunker, and
they had a center Canning Treys.
Yeah, they were.
And the defensive specialist shooting guard who could get you a bucket if you needed to.
Amazing as the team that couldn't get it done. We're naming teams, by the way, for all the audience that's listening.
One of those
90s teams were great that didn't win.
And they had one of those great basketball minds who's a good leader but a terrible coach, Nate McMillan, coming off the bench.
McMillan. They had a great coach, George Karl. Won a ton of games.
He's a hard coach to play for. I get it. Yes. He's an asshole, but he's a winner. I mean,
oh yes, he was a great coach who had to coach all types of personalities.
And they Sean Kemp and Gary Payton love that guy. Because they're also assholes. And they're I appreciate this guy's he's willing to butt heads with me. I respect the fact that he'll be like, nah, man, you're wrong.
Assholes always
love assholes.
Yes, exactly. Respect other assholes who are willing to call them out on their own shit and can take something when it's given to them. But yeah, they had oh my God. They had just a ton of just players that were amazing.
Little secret nobody remembers, Detlef Schrempf also pretty good on the inside. He was a dead-eye shooter, but he's also a pretty solid post player. So, and he was a slick passer.
Those Europeans back then, they went inside, Sabonis.
Yeah.
All these players were not afraid to get bodied up. They loved all of that.
They're like, do I have to be fast? Great. I don't have to be fast. I'm in. Let's do it. Drauzan Petrovic, inside out dude, would take it to the hole, wanted that contact.
Oh yeah. They had, what is it? Dale Ellis.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus. Sean Kent, Gary Payton, Detlef Shrimp was one of my favorites because it was just that name. Like that nobody sounds like that name. Yeah, Shrimp. Like you want to say shrimp, obviously, but the guy was in every all-star 3-point shooting contest. He was the Supersonics logo with the green and the Space Needle in it was the best, one of the best underrated
to
jerseys.
That weird, like burnt red, green, brown swoop.
The Cavaliers that everybody
it was gross. It looked awful.
Why? No, they had the best jersey with the green, and the Space Needle. That was like easily one of the most underrated.
It wasn't great, but it captured the city entirely.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I think of if I think of
the other thing was a mess. Whatever it was. Yeah, they won a bunch of games, but those jerseys were atrocious.
Right, and you don't want green and gold. It's only the Packers can really kind of pull that off, and it's just how they were able to add that to it, made it that's Seattle. Okay, I can get with that. Yeah. That's cool.
It's like, hey, we're known for flight because Boeing's here, but also mostly the Space Needle is what we're known for. Throw it on there.
Easy.
And the skyline fits in a basketball shape. We're good. Let's do that.
Right.
It's not incredible, but it's not terrible. Unlike
and that was kind of
basketball in a circular motion taking off
franchises. Unless you were like the Lakers or Bulls or Celtics, really, everybody kind of changed up their logos a little bit.
Everybody
unless you were historically good and couldn't because
it's an icon.
That's just who it's an icon. People have been wearing your jerseys for 30 years. That was also the hype in the 90s where all those retro jerseys are now. Were great. But Indiana's another team we talked about in the 90s that were great. Couldn't get it done. Reggie Miller,
Rick Smits, also Detlef Shrimp at one point.
Rick Smits, that's the connection, for a year or two. Yeah, they just needed his magic just a little bit, teach Mr. Rick Smits.
Imagine a 97 Shrimp on the Pacers when he had some experience in the league. Had gone up with pressure.
He was there, Stojakovic. I can go now. You just get me into the Kings. This is heartbreaking. Now they're early 2000s, not really 90s, but they were those. These are teams that again remind me of the Kings and how they got constructed into what they were. Is by getting that gritty. You either get a gritty guard at one position or another point, or a shooting guard. You have a scorer on the other side, and then you have great passing bigs. And then you have a dead-eye 3-point shooter who's your small forward. Orlando, also another team that had that with Dennis Scott and Anderson.
Until that one fateful free throw. Two fateful free throws, I guess. And never
couldn't get it done. Again, could get done. Penny gets injured.
Shaq wants out because he's tired of sharing with Penny. Then he gets tired of sharing with Kobe. Then he gets tired of sharing with Steve Nash. Then he gets tired of sharing with whoever Boston had. Then he gets tired of sharing with whoever the Heat had. And then he goes back to whatever. And
he's one of those guys that was I always compare
I know that order
those kind of players we talked about where it's they're so skilled or gifted physically that they don't need to work hard. And Shaq had 10 years where he really didn't have to. Even when he got his biggest in LA, they three-peated. Is stupid. It's really stupid. It drives me nuts.
Yeah,
and then
how much more
and then he gets shipped up. What? But it's and then it's how do you don't blame the Lakers for saying hey man, you added 100 pounds and you can't keep doing this and expect to win, and so we're going to trade. We have to trade you over Kobe, who's still in his prime and seems to be gaining muscle, if
and
anything
just as
else.
Marketable.
Yeah, and just as marketable. And it's so, and it's easier to build around and find a big for him than to, try to keep Kobe happy, or trade Kobe and try to find another good shooting guard.
Because I'm trying to remember when this was, but there was a time when Shaq I think he was on the Lakers and he got hurt or something, because Elvin Campbell was a thing for a bit. He was an all-star center in the mid-90s. Was that before or after Shaq came over? I feel like it was after Shaq
I think
came over.
that was just before?
Just before?
I think
I'll say he's the Sabalos Lakers. He's the Sabalos Lakers guy.
We don't do notes here.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think that was slightly before because then they had Divock and then that became the whole trade.
Well, Divock was earlier. He got
Divock
hurt.
was earlier.
Eldon Campbell filled in. Shaq came in. You're right. Okay,
Shaq
that's
came,
the sequence.
yes.
But like the Lakers knew they weren't hurting for a center. They could find one on the scrap.
And again, that's how they ended up with Kobe. Obviously, they traded for him in the draft, but they were at a low enough pick in the draft to make that interesting to trade for Kobe.
Yeah.
And then again later on, Dallas Mavericks get Dirk.
Yeah.
In a way, so that kind of is their saving grace, or like for them giving up on Kobe is like didn't they end up or was it not the Dallas Mavericks who trade?
No, it was the Hornets that traded.
Hornets.
Yeah.
Hornets. Yes, I'm thinking of the same aquamarine jersey, so they're very close to color.
Speaking of teams that didn't make it, we're talking about the Lakers. I mean, we had the Cedric Ceballos, Nick Van Exel, Eddie Jones, Eldon Campbell Lakers.
They did.
That was a good team.
That was a great team.
They weren't good enough. Because Ceballos was inconsistent. But man,
Nick the Quick.
Oh, love him.
So, dude, killer crossover.
Yeah, and who wasn't hiking their socks up during Nick's heyday?
Yes.
If you were on a court and somebody had short socks, like, do you even watch basketball? Pull those socks up. We want Nick Van Exel on this court. Come on.
Dude, if you're going to dress the way he does on the court, you better
get a headband, get those socks up.
He wore everything.
And be a lefty. Come on.
Yes, and he would do it time and time again. He would fake with the right, knowing he was going, like everybody knew except for the guy guarding it. And he couldn't stop it. If you stride, and like he was around, this is Iverson's time, which we can talk about the 76ers and those two chances that they had. There were some fantastically good teams. Yeah, literally Allen Iverson put that whole team on his entire back, and he's like 5'8".
Yeah.
And he got them to the finals against the Juggernaut and won 2 games?
Yeah.
A game.
Yeah, Eric Snow, solid. Aaron McKee, fine. Tyrone Hill, Rashawn Holmes, they're the same person.
Okay.
Yeah, Dikembe Mutombo, you need him. You need a Dikembe Mutombo.
The only way those things work is with an absolute generational talent.
Yeah.
There's no way you get anywhere.
Hey, he played with an all-star. He had Matt Geiger, so...
I'm pretty sure that guy made $102 million in the league and scored like 100 points if in the entire time he was there.
He also had a young Andre Iguodala for a little second there.
He towards the twilight, but he carried that team. He was amazing. He just never again got a shot. But those again were those kinds of teams, especially in the East, where you had the Reggie Millers who were like your clear number one scorer, and then you just hope that you could get 50 points out of 8 other players, like to make it like a game, like so you had a chance, and just hope that Reggie scored 40, and then maybe you could beat the Knicks. Knicks again had some great teams. Knicks had amazing run there with defensive point guard Starks, whose main job was just to take whoever's your most offensive threat on the other side and not dribble the ball up the court. He just was not allowed to do very much besides get elbowed in the face and be an antagonist to the other team. I know.
Yeah.
He made a lot of money doing it.
Yeah.
Ooh, but nobody liked you unless you were from New York. Like nobody liked that dude.
Yeah. Well, out of curiosity, since we brought him up, I don't think we've compared Allen Iverson to a beer ever on this podcast.
In this illustrious career of ours, we have never done.
He's a one-man show, doing it all himself for this larger operation.
He's a small guy with a
big body.
Played
huge.
Played huge.
He was not 6 foot. I think they had him listed as like 6'1", but he was like 5'7". Like,
man,
but balls of steel. Sam can sell balls, but with this talent to back it up.
Yeah, I feel like you'd have to be like an alcoholic, like 12%er, but only comes in like a 6-ounce pour or something. Like, good Lord, like, yeah, you would have to be a barrel, like, I mean, maybe parabola, and I would hate to even say such a thing, because I feel like it's like, that's like a center beer, a Jordan beer, but it's like, it's so much punch, like so much, he had everything, he just didn't have a championship, or else he'd be considered maybe the best point guard of all time. Like,
counterpoint, Firestone Walker is one of the best breweries of all time, indicating it's one of the best teams of all time, which the 76ers were not. They were entirely an Allen Iverson operation. So I submit that he is the Fathead IPA. Fathead Brewery, it's fine, but that IPA is fucking unbelievable.
It is really good. It's hard though for me because there's not a lot of breweries
that only do one
where
thing
I
well.
don't care. Yeah, exactly. Where I don't care for them, and yet they did a really, really good beer.
Yeah, it's a hard.
That is a really, really hard one.
You know what? Let's put him in Philadelphia. He's a youngling. He's a Yingling.
Oh
like,
yeah, he could be
straight up.
He could. I mean, yeah. Like,
do you want?
He's so
they have a
good.
Hershey's Porter. Do you really care? Do you really care that they have
really,
a Hershey's Porter?
But if you're it's
like, thanks for your Aaron McKee,
Coast,
but
probably.
you know, I'm here for Allen Iverson.
Yeah, we kind of do that just because we're here. Like, it's like, we're going to do this because we're on the East Coast in New York. And that's what we do. We're just going to do Hershey's because, you know, they're close.
Yeah.
Like, West Coast does not care about that stuff. No. I mean, it's just, we don't. We can keep your Hershey's chocolate.
We've got Kobe and the Lakers on tap. We're good.
Yeah. We're kind of good. We're kind of good over here. Yeah. But good for you. Yeah, you got Hershey's, good for you. That's real chocolate. Yeah, way to go.
We got Run DMC. What do you...
Yeah, we're only making artisanal chocolate here, and you know, getting it in small batches and turning it into like amazing stuff. The anniversary beers and stuff like that for other people. But you know, you guys go ahead with your conglomerate and Hershey's chocolate.
Yeah,
you know,
you're family owned. We appreciate that. You guys are working hard. You know, you're fighting against a lot of buyouts. You know, Labatt's down the street just sold. You're trying to keep your family business afloat. I got you. But
there's tons of buyouts and stuff.
Nothing wrong with Yingling.
There's nothing.
Yingling. A Yingling
There's
light.
not offensive. It's not offensive.
Don't give me that Andre Iguodala. You know what I meant when I said AI. You know what I meant.
Yeah, we want the real deal. We want the real deal. I wanted Andre Iguodala from the Sixers. I don't care about. I know that the Bay Area loves Andre Iguodala on the Warriors, but that wasn't the same player. That's not. He just gave up his whole entire career to win championships, which, hey,
good for him.
Fantastic. Good for him.
Good.
If that's how he wanted to live and he had made enough money and he was just like, hey, I just want to win, good for you.
It's like, hey, what if I didn't have all this stress on my shoulders every day and I just got to do
But
the
you
things
just disappeared
at.
And you got to play when you wanted to in the playoffs, and they just got to put you in a cold freezer until for the regular season, and then bring you in to guard the biggest guys like in the playoffs. Thank you very much. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, you got to spend some purgatory in Denver post Carmelo for a little bit just to pay your penance.
Yes, agreed. But hey, you know, again, more power to him. He had a good 5 or 6 year run, and then he said, "Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to just be a part of a good team. I don't really care what it takes."
If I was a professional basketball player and you gave me Andre Iguodala's career, I'd take it. No, not a problem.
Yes, no doubt.
100%. Thank you. You can even say, "Hey, you're going to end in Denver." I'm like, still happy. I'm still very happy to be
there's
a clear
no doubt.
second or third option just being forced into a first
3
option.
championships, go to 4 finals.
An MVP in the finals?
MVP, been in the dunk contest.
You're playing against LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, playing with Steph Curry, and you're like, I'm the MVP. It's me.
I'm pretty sure he might have had the best dunk I've ever seen not win the dunk contest.
Yeah?
Pretty sure he had a pancake that he blew out.
Oh, yeah.
Or no, he went from behind the backboard and then dunked the ball in midair. All of this in midair, and nobody cared.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Because the cupcake was only on top of the rim on the back of the rim, right?
I think it was in the back. Oh, man, we're going to.
I'm pretty sure it was on the back of the rim, like where you. Like,
yes, it was on the and some. Yes, and he went from behind the backboard.
Yeah,
it was just amazing.
He went from behind the backboard, reverse dunk, still managed to blow it off. If I remember,
there was one other person who maybe it was Vince Carter who could have done that. Nobody else I know could have jumped like that and stayed in the air that long
and gotten the height and still had their breath around to blow out a candle.
Yes, and he didn't win. Like I was flabbergasted.
Yeah.
As I would.
Well, they're like, Antonio McDyess can like blow a candle out on top of the backboard, so fuck you, Andre. It's like, well, we're not the same. We're not the same. Antonio McDyess was a mutant.
Yes.
Who was sidetracked by injuries and nothing else.
Well, that's kind of that's going to be his calling card forever, right?
Yeah.
Is that he was just what could have been.
Oh, speaking of what could have been, every Nuggets team ever. Every Nuggets team since 1981. What could have been?
Yeah, Carmelo, though. I was betting so heavily on Carmelo. I don't know if I ever told you the story, but so back when they all came out, obviously, a coworker of mine was like, dude, we have to buy NBA basketball cards. And I didn't. I bought baseball. I was a purist. I didn't even think about this. And then they were like, no, we could get LeBron's or Carmelo's. And I was like, oh yeah. And I was like, and so we bought this really expensive pack, which was like $100 for like 10 packs of 4 cards. Mm-hmm. And like, I kept getting this guy, I ended up with like 3 signed cards of a guy I'd never heard of named Dwayne Wade.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the hell am I supposed to do with these?
Yeah.
Like, this is ridiculous. So I ended up selling them back on this place called eBay for $300.
Oh, that's rough.
And I was like, oh yeah, this is perfect. I got my money back. I'm like, I don't know who this Dwayne Wade character is. How good can this guy get? But I'm going to hold on to this Chris Bosh because I heard something might end up happening with it.
It's not. It's defensible.
Yeah, now Dwayne Wade, I think one of the cards alone is probably like $2,000 alone. And I had like a press plate, which is like unheard of, and it's like a 0-1. It's like what they give you at the end of the pack after they're running them.
Yeah.
I gave away all that for the mere price of $300.
I wish I could tell you I made $300 on a bad decision of sports cards. Okay, since we're doing it, I know this is a basketball podcast, but I'm a Seattle guy. Mm-hmm. The Seattle Mariners back in 93 made this decision to draft this shortstop. You may have heard of him, Alex Rodriguez.
Oh yeah, I maybe heard. I think he was all right.
Yeah, he was all right.
I think he ended up being all right.
He's an asshole, but I'm just gonna say that, let the record show, Ben Rice, original Alex Rodriguez hater. As soon as I saw the draft results in the newspaper, I'm like, what the fuck are the Mariners doing? We have a shortstop. His name is Omar Vizquel. And then Omar Vizquel was immediately traded. And we got Felix Fermin. Anyway. And Joey Cora, who's fine. He's a manager, and he's good. He's a little slap hitter. I like him. He's
sure,
funky.
Right. Sure. No, Cora was a solid.
He's good.
He's solid.
I'm not mad about Joey Cora, but I'm furious about Felix Fermin. Obviously. But I am not happy about Alex Rodriguez. All right. So I buy this pack I was a big baseball card collector, so I had this minor league pack that I bought, and ended up being an embossed card of Alex Rodriguez, like silver embossed first round draft pick card. At the time, it was worth like $60 in the moment. Like it was like, was like something. I could not have gotten rid of that card faster. I traded it for nothing. I was like, fuck this guy. Get it away from me. I don't want anything. I got like nothing for it. And then later, I don't know if he knows, insert cards came around about 86, 87.
Yes.
Like, they started off as like, oh, we've got this rookie and trade pack you can get mid-season or whatever. But it's not true. In 1976, Topps did a thing called Topps Minis, which were inserted in packets of regular cards, but they were miniature versions of the same card. I had a 1976 Johnny Bench Mini.
Oh my God. Johnny Bench Mini?
Yeah. An insert card Johnny Bench.
What?
A rare Johnny Bench card.
And you're like, what am I going to do with this?
Here's what I did. I realized the mistake of my Alex Rodriguez giveaway, and I traded my Johnny Bench to get back a minor league Alex Rodriguez card.
Did you ever look it up? Like to see?
No, I don't want to know.
The pain's not real.
It's not real. I'd so much rather have that Johnny Bench card. I'd so much rather have it. Tyler Klebe, we're friends on Facebook. Give it back.
He probably tells the story quite another way.
He's like, there I was in my Jinko jeans, fleecing Ben Rice.
Can you imagine the guy would just hand this over to me for?
First of all, he gave his Alex Rodriguez card for nothing. He gave it to me for nothing, and then I got a Johnny Bench Mini
face. Card. It's $60. Just take it.
Yeah,
he's gonna be garbage. Watch.
Yeah. God damn it. All right. So
he's just the first billionaire fucking baseball player.
Yeah. God damn it. Should have been Jeter. I had a Derek Jeter rookie card for minor league baseball. Those are all in an incinerator, I believe, at this point.
I traded my Jeter. I had two. They weren't even like great rookie Jeters. They were just like, but they'd probably be still a couple $100 if I just held on to them. I'd have to hold on to them for like 20 years or more. But like, I had them and. But yeah, I just, in that point in my life was like, I was just trading for guys that I liked. Ken Griffey Jr.
I mean, well, that's a sure bet.
Bonds, all of these things. So I would be like, yeah, I'll give you these for some Griffeys or some Bonds. And then I'd have like these. And then of course I pick like the two guys that are super lovable, but then they're just not money makers. Like besides Griffey's real like rookie, like, I mean, it's probably gone up since Hall of Fame and the Upper Deck.
They're worth like $2. That's pretty good.
Yeah, they're probably like
nowadays.
I thought it was good. Once the steroid thing happened, I thought they could just use them for like lighter fluid. Yeah. You could use it like whatever you wanted. They were just not going to be
nothing. Yeah, I was so excited. I had a Greg Maddux rookie card. You know, Don Russ. So in Canada, it was Leaf. I had a Greg Maddux
Leaf was the upper deck version. Yes. Yeah.
And it had a typo. I'm like, this is going to be worth so. Nobody cared. It was worth nothing. It was like, yeah, Greg Maddux is one of the greatest pitchers of all time, but like, he's not hitting homers. You know, he's bunting.
No, it was. I mean, it again, like if you just waited 30 years and wait until those guys become adults. Now those people are looking for those kinds of things. Yeah. But what kid has that kind of patience? No kid's like, what?
Those cards are worth nothing. They're worth nothing. Everything from 86 on is worth nothing. They're worth nothing. Not a single card. Ken Griffey Jr., they're like, it's worth $60 on Upper Deck. But it turns out they mass produced it. They produced more of that card than anything.
Once they make things on the internet, you realize, oh wait, there's 1,000 of them being sold.
Yeah,
you're like,
you can buy a pack that's nothing but these. And it's just like, never mind, you know. But I did have some old cards gifted to me, so I had some cards going back. I think the oldest card I had was like 1954 at one point.
Yeah, buddy of mine,
Jim Bunning, who's a Hall of Famer and a senator. I had one of his cards, like.
Yeah, and you should get extra points for that, but you probably don't.
Reggie Jackson? Yeah, you know I got some Reggie Jackson 1974 tops. You know I got him. Do you know that? I just revealed my baseball card thing now, so clearly you already knew.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, speaking of Reggie Jackson, he was on the Yankees. Speaking of the Yankees, speaking of New York City, I'm drinking this beer, the King John's Revenge from Brewery X in Anaheim. And, one of the King Johns that might be seeking revenge is a man you may know it from one of the greatest dunks of all time, John Starks.
Oh, yes.
Unceremoniously sent away from New York in lieu of Allen Houston.
Yes,
forced out
just done with
to
him.
let
Forced
in
out.
Allen Houston. That really paid off.
They needed offense. Allen Houston was great. He was a great player, but again, he just didn't fit the plug. Like the plug was, we need a defensive guard. Like that was just how it worked. He has to guard Jordan. He has to guard Reggie Miller. He has to guard all the offensive guards in the East. And so Allen Houston's not doing that. Like Allen Houston is going to try to outscore those guys, which is not going to work because he's like a second level player. But he's gonna, he'll get you 20 when they get and be scored on by 35. Like that's just what his plus minus is not great. If they had those back in the day,
if they were looking at those, they probably weren't good. And if they were, it's only because the team was good defensively without him. But he got hurt. He had a massive contract. He never played particularly well after he got hurt. He didn't recover from injury very well.
Seinrell, just like him, Spreewell, like all those guys that New York tried. That was kind of like New York's last hurrah. Like is just like getting all these guys late in their career and surrounding Allen Houston with them.
Getting post back surgery Larry Johnson, who was still fun. I loved Larry Johnson to the day he retired. Larry Johnson was my guy.
He was great. Grandmama and all that was. Absolutely, like Charlotte. That's a team we didn't even get to. They were built to be playoff basketball. They were too fun to win, but good Lord, were they young and like fun to watch.
And they hated each other.
A 5 foot, you had a 5 foot point guard. Like, what are you talking about? Like, and they were so unorthodox. But they got the job done, and like we talked about before, you said Alonzo Mourning, for some reason nobody liked that.
Last episode,
nobody likes that dude.
Even though he won a citizenship award, nobody liked him. On his own team.
Corporations loved him. Other than that, nobody likes him.
He's a good-looking dude, great hair, tall, great defensive player of the year 9 million times. And if he didn't win it, it's only because Dikembe won it. That was the only reason. Yeah.
Yes, he won because he was on the Heat at the perfect time.
Yeah,
that's how he won.
But
he was in that last stage of great centers. He was that. Supposed to be that next up and comer who was going to take on Ewing and Olajuwon and all those guys out.
And the Hornets had players. Like if you go through the mid 90s Hornets, there's iterations because of trades and free agency, but you got Muggsy Bogues, David Wesley, Glenn Rice, Anthony Mason, Larry Johnson, Alonzo Mourning, and the dude that died in a car crash, and Hersey Hawkins. That's
a squad.
That's a squad. Del Curry at the end of his career also in there. Come on,
dude, squad.
It's a squad. They just never had the pieces at the same time.
They're like that Thanos dust. Like nobody will ever know how good they were. Like
if you gave us every one of those players at their peak at the same time, it's not even up for debate.
No, exactly. Like you said, and it's like they were missing like a really good coach
and liking each other.
And liking each other.
They didn't want to play together.
A little bit.
None of them wanted to play together.
But look how good they were, and they didn't even want to play together. I mean, it's just like, it could have been.
But I'm going to go back to Larry Johnson. Look, he was a high-flying rim rocker, like Zion version 1 was Larry Johnson. Then he got back surgery, ruined it, and then he became this bully ball, 3-point shooting, defensive guy that you didn't want to fuck with on the Knicks. How do you not love that? How do you not love Larry Johnson moving from an all-world athlete 3 to like a small 4 who just bullies you endlessly?
Oh, well, I mean, and again, like they had the big 3 when nobody did. Like, I mean, they had that muscle bound. Like, well, it's really a small 3, but they were all like. they were all like video game. Those guys were ripped out of their minds. Bugsy Bogues for 5 foot, like he was all muscle.
Yeah.
Like that dude was all. That's the only reason why he was on the team is that he just muscled everybody out of the way. He was just, even people who were better than him, he would just push you to the floor.
Yeah.
But these guys were like video game superheroes. They could have like done so much, but they just didn't have shooting and everything around them. But they were amazing. They didn't really have a good coach.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Del Curry was
Del
like,
Harris is fine as a coach, whatever. And I think they had Brian, the guy that coached the Magic for a while. Brian Hill. Anyway,
again, one of the better jerseys. In the league
and the court with the
jackets with the shiny starter jackets. Dude, I would have been all
if you weren't wearing Charlotte Hornets gear in middle school. You were not.
That was me, 8th grade, buddy. Yeah, that was when I was at my coolest. 8th grade.
Yeah, but the beehive in the lane. What are those called? Where you got the little honeycombs.
The honeycomb.
Come on.
Yes. Dude, killer.
Yeah.
Killer. And it was just like old school, all of it. It was just, they were
the 90s. They were the mid-90s. Cool. If you wanted to put the mid-90s into one thing, just take a shot of the starting lineup of the Charlotte Hornets on their floor. Boom. 1996. Personified. Done. Move on.
Oh, yeah. Look at, I mean, the best thing to do
purple and teal, come on
a podcast is to say, hey, look at this picture. But yeah, like you see, you can't see that on there, but the light blue with the purple, it's just like, good Lord, man.
Teal
like,
had
who's
not
styling in that? And it was the started pullover, like with the,
I had one
with the Hornet on the front with the basketball, dude. It was just
walking into social studies class with my brand new Charlotte Hornets shirt on. It wasn't a jersey, it was a shirt. It's a Charlotte Hornets. I had like a catchphrase, and my social studies teacher, Dan Dungan, the coolest teacher I've ever had, goes, "Charlotte Hornets," because we're in the fucking we're in Seattle. This is Sonics country. It was in the midst of it.
But that was also the era you could wear that kind of stuff because it didn't have to be a fan. You just wore it for fashion. That's where that all kind of started. It was like rappers were wearing it. They were from New York, but they were wearing like Hornets gear. They were wearing all the colors.
It's so good.
Because it was just, you had to make a fit out of it. It had to match your shoes.
That Hornet had a stinger out. It was like, I'm going to sting you. I'm going to fuck you. That's what it looked like. Like, it's like you couldn't. It was an intimidating Hornet wearing killer sneakers. Like, come on.
It was great. That's what the game used to be. It was like a playful mascot with like just muscle-bound basketball players. Those were the 90s.
Yeah, it had the white gloves on it like it was a Mickey Mouse, like, come on.
There's no Cody Zeller in the 90s. I'm sorry, there just isn't. Like, that's just shitting on Rick Schmitz and those guys and how hard those guys had to play against like Alonzo Mournings and Ewings of the world that were just like so much bigger and more athletic and still like was putting up numbers on them. Like, good times, man.
Oh man, you know what? Since we got to do a beer comparison, let's just say 90s Hornets. What brewery would they be? They got all the parts. Ooh. They got all the marketing. But they don't win those awards, They don't bring it home.
Oh.
Huh.
Nah, I would say Berryessa to me. I would say I love them. They are very, very classic. They do what they do. They just furnish their area. They do like the Bay Area a little bit.
They dabble in wine next door.
They dabble in wine. Like, I mean, they're like perfect for their area. They don't try to be too much. I would say, you could. I'm not going to take yours, but I mean, hopefully. But it's like in-house. Those kind of places that just love their region and just do what they do. They don't try to be super marketable. They don't join a whole bunch of like contests to try to win. They just make fucking solid beer, and you love it. And it's just like, oh yeah, remember when beer just tasted like beer? And you're like, yeah, let's go have some Berryessa or whatever. And it's like, those are what we come back to after we're done with the pineapple mango fruit milkshake IPA that we had to try, and then you go back and you're like, oh yeah, you know what? Let's just have a nice solid rice lager, and they're gonna give you all of those. They're gonna give you all the basics, and it's gonna be great.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Cellar Maker. because they give you the big ones.
Like
they give you the big ones. They're known for their IPAs and their stouts. They don't go heavy adjunct. They just do like a few things to mess with their stouts. They kind of revolutionized hazy on the West Coast, but they don't win awards. They're a place that people know. If you're in San Francisco, if you have the time to wait for their line, because they're a tiny space, like you can't get in there. It's an exclusive club, unlike buying.
It's like a cellar. It's truly a cellar.
Yeah,
it's like a closet cellar.
I would say cellar maker for me, but Look, both of these breweries, if you're in the area, you need to go. I love
they're not going to be in the news. You're not going to see a lot of them. But I'm telling you, if you're hearing this, go check them out. All their beers are going to be great. And they're going to remind you of the 90s. They're going to be like, wow, this is like a really solid IPA. And they also do, like you said, like Cellar Maker does some new school stuff. I don't think Barry S has kind of got off their lawn about doing hazies. I'm pretty sure they're saying clear beer.
Yeah, no, Chris is never gonna. He's never gonna. He's like no.
So that, and again, good for him. Again, they're who they are, and I love that.
Yeah, he's like, oh, do you have Zion Williamson? Do you have your Head Ipa over there, the hot new hyped thing? Yeah, I've been doing that for years with my Larry Johnson double tap IPA.
Exactly.
It's the exact same beer, but it's better, and it came first. Like
it's
the
clear.
Flavor profile is exactly the same. They're the same beer, but it's like
he's like, close your eyes and taste
it. It's $8 for a growler. Like there's no.
Dude, it's so good. The house IPA, their rice. There's separation anxiety.
Like,
unbelievable. They're so
separation anxiety. Mini separation anxiety is the most hop forward session IPA I've ever had. It tastes like a double IPA. And it's like, it's 4.3%. It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's an insane piece of.
It's like they took the alcohol out, but they made which makes it more of a brighter beer.
But it's still.
But then it's like it's so good. Yes, it's such to your palate, it's amazing. So that's my Barry S. Barry S. is the Hornets of Alonzo Mourning, Larry Johnson, 5-footer Muggsy Bogues.
Yeah, because that's your Freak Hiddens rice lager. Then you got your double tap, and you got your. Yeah, I'm on board with this comparison.
Yeah, separation anxiety double tap right there, like muscle bound.
Oh, man, speaking
making
my
me
language.
Thirsty.
Yeah. Chris, come on the pod. He historically hates the idea of being recorded. He really,
I can only imagine. He
hates it. I almost got him, and then COVID hit. We were like in talks. He's like, I'm like, find a band you like, because he loves music. I'm like, find a band you like, we'll do an episode. He's like, it's great. And then, never mind, shut it down.
He's like, whoo, I dodged a bullet there.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure he's like so happy. He's like, the worst thing about COVID, and he's going to be, I'm going to have to make an excuse not to talk to Ben again.
No, COVID, I can't wait to get some live. And then get also some people on here, so we're just not flapping our gums the whole time. But I do love this, and I love breweries, and it looks like this summer, hopefully, we'll be getting back down into it. I'm really crossing my fingers and my toes here, but it looks like pharmaceuticals are going to win and beat stupidity. So I'm really excited about it.
We're doing it. All right, we somehow with no plan. We knocked this hour out like we knew we would because we're fucking professionals.
Can do this all day.
So let's wrap this thing up. We got a few segments we got to tackle. I think we should tackle first. Is it the Gueuze? Our dunk of the fortnight, which is really a week at this point because anyway.
Oh yeah.
Is it the Gueuze? The nice part is, we have a short week. We finished our recording last week, and then within 5 minutes, I believe, there was you're like, hey, look at this
probably
dunk.
The dunk of the century. Probably the dunk of the year.
The best dunk close. I've seen since Sean Kemp over Dennis Rodman in the finals, where he dips his balls in his mouth.
Oh, my God. That was so good. Probably since Vince Carter did it in the Olympics, where he jumps over the seven-footer. Yes. Oh, my God. Yes, this is how good this. I've never had a dunk.
Somebody called George Clooney to the ER. It's the revenge of the Minnesota nerds who no longer have a coach.
No, their coach is gone.
It's Anthony Edwards. See, that's the revenge of the nerds ER references. I'm very talented. Anthony Edwards is forgettable, but now he's memorable. He'll be remembered forever for destroying the world.
for dunking on a Raptor as hard as he possibly could. And it was that second elevation that you just never see anymore, where it's like he hits his body and then proceeds to go up 2 more inches to just really dunk it on him. And there was just like no doubt about it. Like it was just, he even laughed when it was over. Like he felt superhuman there. Like he probably was even surprised at what he just did. Like even though he planned to do it, it was amazing. It got my juices flowing. I immediately sent it to you as soon as I saw it. I was like I just thought it was out of this world.
Yeah. And it was within amazing. Minutes of us finishing.
Literally minutes of us finishing the podcast.
It's like, boop. Well, I guess we don't have to discuss this anymore. And it was over Yuta Watanabe of the Raptors, who is praised for his defense. And can we just say, we need to talk about Chris Boucher on the Raptors. He's Manute Bol. If Manute Bol really had talent as opposed to luck and because Manute Bol is like, hey, he's a center who shoots threes but plays 4 minutes a game. And it's a fun, exotic thing.
Because he can't stand that long. Yes, because nobody that should be playing basketball because you can't run at 7-11. Like, you just can't shouldn't be playing basketball. It's not fair.
Chris Boucher is going to be great. I've enjoyed watching him on the Raptors. I know he's just a reserve right now, because I don't think he's got game shape for like those big minutes.
No, he needs more body, obviously.
He's also very thin. Very. Who's that guy in the late 90s that was blocking shots like mad, but he was so slender? You know, Kenyon Martin, but like not ripped and insane.
That guy. Oh. See, that's another one we didn't get to. The Nets, good Lord. We could do this forever. We'll have to do another segment on it at another time.
I think it's Kelvin Cato.
But Cato.
Anyway, doesn't matter. You don't remember him because...
Yeah, I don't.
It's fine.
It's sad.
So anyway, Is It the Gueuze? Anthony Edwards.
Man.
Dunk of the year.
The best dunk. Easy, probably the dunk of the year. No doubt. Yeah. It's going to be hard to beat.
But it was
massive.
For Is It the Gueuze?
Yeah, it was massive. He was the perfect height. He showed his athleticism. He literally dunked on the dude. The dude did not move. He put his arm up, and it didn't matter. It was amazing.
Because sometimes even as a great defender, which Yuta Watanabe has proven to be statistically from the eye test, he's a first-year player. But
that's why he's not scared to go up. That's fine. Like I don't blame him for that.
Sometimes the dunk is just greater than the defender.
Exactly.
Like we talked about Anthony McDyess and his injuries. One of his first injuries was fracturing his wrist trying to block a Shaq dunk. It doesn't mean Anthony McDyess is a garbage defender. Just sometimes that dunk is, you just can't.
Yes,
you can't.
Exactly.
No matter
That's
what you
why
do,
I have that thing
there's
on
nothing
Giannis,
you can do.
Right?
There's nothing you can do.
It's not like Giannis is a scrub. He just gets dunked on a lot. Yeah. He makes also a lot of blocks. That's why he won Defensive Player of the Year twice in a row. It's just you gotta take
the only way to be in position to be posterized is to be willing to take that chance. It's you were brave enough to be like, I'm going to try to stop this insane thing that's happening right now. I'm going to try because it's my job.
No, Anthony Edwards, it's like when you're in baseball or wherever, you hit the sweet spot and it just feels like you've been doing it your whole life. Like he was up there and you could just tell his body, like he's just like, I
that's
got
all
this.
barrel, baby.
I got this. It's just, when do I want to come down?
Yeah.
And he just, it was beautiful. Beautiful.
Like, it's fun to watch that clip, because you see the defender trying, and you know this is a good defender. Like, when Sean Kemp dunked on Dennis Rodman was trying to stop it because Dennis Rodman's a brilliant defender. But you can't stop the Rain Man. I was going to say the Rain, but I'm like, well, it already rolls into Rain Man, Sean Kemp. But when you watch the posters of Sean Bradley, he's always ducking away because he knows he doesn't have the strength or the body capacity to stop it. And they're not as fun. They're not as fun to watch like a guy who's known for defense.
It wasn't again like Sean Kemp on Lister, which is the pointing
the
one,
shoving and pointing.
Well, that was the shoving and the pointing, which made that the best dunk. It wasn't like the action of Sean Kemp was going to dunk on you, and he's always been a ferocious
that's
dunker.
what he's always done.
But it was the pointing, I just did that. How dare you? What?
There's backstory. There's backstory to that. That dunk was based on. It was a novel. And this was the yes. final act in the novel. Like, I hear you've been running your mouth and you've been trying to stop me all night, and I didn't, and now I just completely obliterated your spirit.
Now I just ruined your career.
Yeah,
your career will be known as this. Goodbye now.
Oh, were you an enforcer? Were you a tough guy? Nobody believes that anymore. Deuces.
Yeah, you're gone. You're gone.
I think we talked about this off air before, and it's all-star picks were made. We talked about Dame Lillard last week about whether or not he was an all-star snub, even though he still made the all-star team. So who?
Yes, he does.
You mentioned this. What are the real? You could substitute one player,
right?
And get rid of one player for the all-star team. 2020-2021 NBA season, all-stars.
Oh,
the weird season, the second weirdest season, possibly third.
Second weird season. Yeah, that's probably the second weirdest season. Because we still don't know how this is going to end. But I think it's really the West is just packed. So anybody you say, it's just like, well, yeah, then who are you going to take out? Like we had talked about this before on the last podcast. It's like what's starting five? It's like it's really just pick 'em. It has nothing to do with positions. Like nobody says it's not about heads, it's not about a center, two guards and two forwards. It's like the best players I want to play with.
Yeah.
And then after that, and then it's like, I guess it's votes, but not really. I don't know. It's very complicated.
The reserves are all like coaches and players and media. They're like, get the fans out of there. They're all imbeciles. We need an electoral college for basketball all-star games.
It's so weird, and it's not really revealed how they're chosen. But I think they got it right. I think we had talked about off air that Devin Booker was like the snub in the West, but then he got on because of Anthony Davis and the injury.
Oh, did he get in? Okay, cool. See, I don't follow.
And so then I think there's too many injuries is what's happening,
and people are going to opt out. Like we're saying this now, but when the All-Star game happens, people are like, hey man, COVID sucks. I'm not coming to this game. Is 100% going to happen.
It could easily happen.
LeBron James is going to pick a team and be like, peace. I'm not doing this.
There's so much time. Yeah, I mean, Durant's already out with the injury. Though he said, I'm not going to play. So then you bring... So what ends up happening if enough stars come out of it, why would you even have it? You'll just end up postponing it.
It's
like you'll just...
Going back to baseball, it's how the Pittsburgh Pirates keep having like 2 All-Stars every year. Just people drop out. It's like, no, there's no good Pirates. Andrew McCutchen's good.
Well, that's when they had to make the rule that every team got one because they were just like, oh, wait, people are just forgetting about these other players. And it's like, or there's another team over here. And it's like, yeah, nobody's good on Tampa Bay. Like, stop asking them to, like, nobody should be on there. Like, they'll put their closer on or their starter that's not even going to pitch anyway. Yeah. Like, why would you do that? So.
It's like, who cares about the Diamondbacks? No one's ever done. They've won a World Series and no one cared. Like...
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
So we have to get out of here and go.
Yes, we do. So we got to finish this. Who are you replacing with whom?
Oh,
Phil.
I am going Fred VanVleet for Ben Simmons.
Okay.
Not because Ben Simmons isn't good. It's just because he's Ben Simmons. I feel like VanVleet does more with less than Ben Simmons does less with more. And that's basically my argument, is that he should be better, but he's not. So there we go.
Great. Well, I was going to pick that same thing, but then I thought I would do Bam Adebayo for Simmons, but then it's like, well, there's a guard and a forward. Is that okay? Even though Ben Simmons is 7'97". So I'm going to do, well, look, we did our Is It the Gueuze, and we had to ask, this is the one week we haven't asked, who's dunking on Giannis now? So I'm going to go ahead and do it. Let's dunk on Giannis. Let's slap in Bam Adebayo and kick Giannis out of this game because Chris Middleton's the real all-star on that team.
Yes, there you go. Yeah.
So I'm going to put Bam in. I'm going to put Bam in over Giannis, the reigning MVP
I feel like
and
they
defensive
did it
player of the year.
To make it, because he was the leader last year, and Durant really doesn't deserve to be the East leader, but he is. But he is.
But he is, and I'm not going to fight it.
And so Giannis, I feel like they did that to just appease him, but he really shouldn't be there. Like Middleton needs to be there.
Middleton needs to be there. I mean, honestly, the pick. Bam Adebayo and Chris Middleton need to be there. Fred VanVleet needs to be there. There's only so many spots. I get it.
Yeah, 12 on 12.
Even though an NBA roster is 15, you take those three guys, you get to 15, and we're fucking problem solved. I just...
yes. What are we doing here? But no, I mean, again, and we were talking about honorable mentions on Utah, who's never made the All-Star team.
Mike Conley, put him on there.
Mike Conley. He should be on the squad.
But also, if Mike Conley makes an All-Star team, what's his resume look like when he goes to the Hall of Fame? The one guy who never made the All-Star team that is a Hall of Famer, it's gone. And then, is he a Hall of Famer if he's got an All-Star team on his resume? He can't be the underrated guy who never got his due. So it's like a catch-22. You know what? Keep him off. Mike Conley, sorry. You're stuck where you are.
Ohio State alum.
Take your $225 million you've made in your career and cry over it, huh? I love Mike Conley. I think he's great, and I think he deserves everything in the world. I want him to win a championship. I think he's one of the most underrated players in NBA history.
Ohio State alum. I love him. I'm from Ohio. I rooted for him. I rooted for Odom to be great. I agreed with the pick over Durant. I really thought he was NBA ready over Durant, and I didn't realize how good of a shooter Durant would continue to become. Mm-hmm. And I was wrong. And of course, Odom got hurt. But yeah, exactly. He just became there's always been great shooters in college that just don't turn out. Like
JJ Redick
in the NBA. Yeah. Oh my God. Don't even.
He did eventually.
This is another podcast. We can make a podcast. How many shooters in the NBA didn't come out? What's the guy the Kings got? Who was BYU?
Oh God, no, Jimmer Fredette, and then the other guy they got.
Oh my God! That makes me more mad.
He's not even in the league anymore. Well, neither is Jimmer Fredette, but the guy we got to get Nick Stauskas. Nick Stauskas.
Oh my Stauskas! My God, he was horrible.
There was another McCollum that's not CJ. There's another McCollum guy that I thought was going to be it. I watched his highlights. I was like, let's do some draft review. I don't remember why I was doing this. I don't follow college basketball because it's not a good product in my opinion.
No, it isn't really.
I was watching it and there's this McCollum guy. I'm like, that's a replicable shot on every angle, every foot, mid-range, long range, close range. It was replicable. Everything, his motion was flawless. I thought he was going to make it. Ray McCollum, who's also a King. Ray McCollum got drafted by the Kings. And let's face facts. At this point, we need to admit that the Kings fucked up some of the greatest shooters of all time. Jimmer Fredette was never going to translate. He's slow. He's stocky. His jump shot was it was not a quick shot. It was a very deliberate shot. And my favorite memory is him driving to the free throw line to shoot a jump shot, and I saw Serge Ibaka rotating over and blocked it back to half court, and I laughed. I saw it coming. I stood up and I laughed because I was in the stadium. I'm like, this is gonna go so poorly for this guy, and I saw it coming. And then when it happened, I just couldn't. It was my favorite thing. And then the Thunder lost, even though they had it. Russ put up 40, or Durant put up 40. Russell Westbrook put a 30-point triple-double, and Serge Ibaka got to 10 blocks, and they lost. It's the first time in history, only time in history. I was there. It was fun. Kings won, whatever. I'm a Thunder fan, but the Thunder have historically lost to the Kings when I've gone to the game.
Yes, you should go more often.
Right, I should go more often. If I could, I would do it.
Yeah, so we miss it. We do. We need to do it from there. I can't wait to do all these things. I have all these things in our head for our podcast.
So many things.
Once things kind of turn to normal.
As soon as we're able to do things normal.
Oh,
all right.
My God. We're going to force it. Yeah. Just force it in there.
We got to go. Anyway. We've done it. All right, one last segment. Canning Treys. You may have noticed last week we said Canning Treys. We gave you 2 beers because we usually have a combined beer that we didn't mention.
We might have been drinking. We might have been.
You weren't, Phil. This is the second week.
Okay, I can't count.
The point is,
let's just admit I can't count.
It was just a clerical error, just a clerical.
I think we named 2, but it wasn't in the canning. I think we just got away
I put it in the show notes, but I don't know who reads the show notes. I don't know who listens to this podcast.
Our dedicated fans do. They read everything.
But just in case, we're doing Canning Treys.
Just my mom, but she does. Yeah.
All right.
We could talk about our original one that we left out, and then we'll just pick 2. I think.
Okay, perfect.
Special episode.
So we don't forget our agreed upon third beer from last week. That will be our first beer this week. So, friend of the pod, Marcus Baskerville.
Oh, yes.
Weathered Souls Brewing last year came up with a brilliant beer called Black is Beautiful, an imperial stout that brewers across the nation could brew if they wanted to. He gave them the recipe. He said, hey, there's many ways that black can be beautiful, so take this recipe as a base, do what you want with it, put it out there, donate money to racial justice causes.
Do whatever you want. Just call it Black is Beautiful.
Yeah, make sure it's a dark colored beer.
And I'll give you the labels. You do everything. All that.
But donate your money to racial justice programs
in your area.
In your area, keep it local. So the
beautiful program, beautiful. Awesome.
I've had some great beers, and I do my chugs for charity with it to double up on those donations. I love it. I've got like 8 more, I think, in my cellar that I need to drink and chug for charity. At this point, send more. If you've done it, send me a can and I'll drink it and I'll try to double up those. Anyway, the point is that there is a major announcement over. Now, I've gotten conflicting reports, 300 or 500 stores of the greatest. The problem. Okay, so this is a wonderful beer. It's now for sale in between 300 and 500 of the worst conglomerate in American history, Walmart stores.
Yes.
Brewed by 6 different breweries.
It's great for Marcus. It's great.
It's going to be
great
open.
For Weathered Souls. And it's great to get it out there to like lower income places where maybe they can't get to it.
There's a lot of benefits to this. There's a few drawbacks. The main drawback, Walmart is destroying our economy and our country and our obesity.
You have to use a terrible conduit to do something beautiful.
But sometimes you gotta you gotta make a deal
like
with
this
the devil.
podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But the point is, it's available widely, which is fucking phenomenal.
Yes.
It's like $10 for a 4-pack of these wonderful beers. Revision's making the California and Nevada version.
I don't know.
He's using 6 different breweries to help with that. So regionally,
that's
still
amazing.
A brewery. So Revision's doing
Way
California.
to do your research on myself.
Well, I mean, on my original podcast, Barley and Me, I'll be talking to Core Brewing in Arkansas, which is doing the Southwest version. Or I guess the South version, because the Southwest is definitely Weathered Souls, right?
That's amazing. Again, the orchestration and being able to do that with 6 like-minded people and Walmart to make this happen is it's amazing. He's bigger than he realizes. I love how he's become a superstar there. A guy from little town Rancho in Sacramento and like doing big things.
Yeah, and
it's crazy, dude. It's crazy.
And to tie it to basketball, I interviewed him when he came out to Rancho Cordova because he's in Texas, San Antonio specifically, which the Spurs are wonderful. I did an episode with him when he was out in Claim Steak doing a collaboration beer of Black is Beautiful. It involved a lot of Sacramento breweries making the same beer. It was very cool. He did an episode, and we kicked it off. We were doing it in the secondary room that they had. It wasn't a brewing room. It was like this just empty space for like kegs and stuff. And there were these repurposed church pews that we were sitting in, right? Around a table. Right. And there's a basketball hoop that's like probably only 6.5. It was only raised like 6.5 feet, and we had a mini basketball. And as I hit record, somebody passes him the ball, and he's sitting on the pew facing like towards the brewery, but the basketball hoop is behind him, and he just like turns and throws a shot and banks it in. That's how we started the podcast. Was him taking a shot while he's seated, facing the other direction.
Is he like the brewery's Obama? Like, is he turning in? Is he just out of nowhere? Like, I knew he was like a good guy, and I think I met him like one other time through Brian because they're just really close.
Oh, so close.
And they grew up in the area.
That's Brian Palmer of Claim.
But I didn't know. Yes, excuse me. And and he was just really easy to talk to, super personable, and it was just so funny. Like, obviously, when I met him, he just assumed like I was in the beer industry, like brewing beer or something. And I was like, no, I'm just a fan. Like, I just drink beer. I cook for a living. But yeah, like he was so he was just so personable and so fun. And then again, like he gets all these, he's doing all this stuff, and he's very charismatic on TV and stuff. And I think it's just, it just gives me a little. It's probably overstating Obama, but it just gives me this, like, he's kind of made for us, and it's like always it's happening at the right time, and he's just really a natural. Like, he's just a natural in the public eye.
And now he's a board member on the Craft Brewers Association of America, so very cool. Got voted in this year.
Yeah, like all of these things. Like, how do you do it all? And a family man, and like look, all the right things.
If you're listening, give us some Hardwood Classics Pilsner.
Oh, yeah, podcast. I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind.
If we're going to just
if you could just, we'll make it about you.
Right.
Even though 90% of this podcast was not. We could easily make that happen.
Yeah. And like when they made that shot, by the way, there's a bunch of brewers sitting there, so there's an audible cheer of the shot going in. But anyway, that's one of our Canning Treys. Canning Treys. So what do you got for your Canning Treys this week, Phil?
Oh, for I got a Garage Dojo.
Oh, man, that was one of my picks from okay. It was my runner-up last week. So I support this. Go. They've
had this beer before. They're bringing it back. They usually bring it around this time, around Beer Week or so. Great name for a beer. It's a double hazy IPA by Bike Dog. Delicious beer. And I can't wait to crack one open. But I would say get it. It's fresh right now. I'm all about it too. That's basically what this is for us, is getting the fresh beer that's out there locally that's good. Bike Dog needs love too. They're local. They do the right thing. They do things for the community. That's why we push them so hard. They're a friend of the podcast. They have a all-star brewer, two actually, really in the making. And Nate and
Kyle Letty.
What's that guy's name? What is it? Kyle Letty. Yes, that guy. He's only doing other people's podcasts and stuff like that. Not on here yet. But those guys are killing it. Yeah, I know. We'll grill him on some 76er Philadelphia Eagles stuff. We'll get him on here. But yeah, I love that man. Love those guys. They're all good people making good beer. Garage Dojo. Fantastic.
Seconded. Get that beer. I love it. I drank all of them because it was so good. It was just an incredible
easy
beer.
To drink. Yes.
It's like 8.0, 8.6. One of those is right. It's so good. The can art's fun. It's a guy in a gi with like a punching bag around.
Yes, it's perfect to watch like Cobra Kai too. Yeah. Just drink that, watch Cobra Kai. You'll feel like you can just, you're Johnny. You feel like you just go out there and start kicking some ass.
Well, Phil, you made my job a lot easier because I was kind of tossing up two beers. And I know I agreed, we already agreed on Black is Beautiful, and now I've agreed with you on Garage Dojo. So I'm going to call it that. I think you will second this one. This is a beer that's been around a while, but it just got repackaged in a very simplistic, basic can because the reality is the reality of this beer. It's urban roots. Nothing is certain. Schwartz beer.
Oh, yeah. You're strumming my heartstrings here. Yeah. You know that I love that.
I know.
Get out of here.
It was easy.
That is in the Schwartz beer lineage. I would say that's up there. It's like number one or number two to Death and Taxes. Death and Taxes.
Which is it's an homage to, so no offense that it's the second
it's
in
like
charge.
One is dry and more chocolatey, and the other one is sweeter and smoother drinking. It's like you could have them together. Like if you can get them now, get them together. Have a taste test with your friends. They're amazing, but nothing is certain by Urban Roots.
Yeah, they are brother beers because nothing is certain but Death and Taxes. That's why it's called that. The can is now just a silver can that just says nothing is certain in a small little section. End of can. Wonderful design, very simple. So I knew. Look, this Canning Treys is the most beautiful thing that we've come up with because we agreed entirely on all three. It's the Anthony Edwards dunk of Canning Treys.
Everybody realizes that's obviously the best thing. Yes, it's obvious. These are all great beers. Go find them at everywhere, even Walmart if you have no choice. But yeah, support your local breweries. Like, they need it now more than ever. Summer's coming up. We're hopefully going to be able to do some normal stuff and, help them out so they're still here in the summer where we're going to like make that money.
Yeah. All right. Perfect. That's, I think we're done. We've got to get out of here. Life is calling. Nothing is certain, but the fact that somebody needs us to do something around the house.
Yeah, always.
So thank you so much for listening to this episode. Don't forget to tell your friends. Don't forget to like us on Instagram at Please Dunk Responsibly, or follow us on Twitter at PlizDunkPod. Email us questions, comments, concerns, beers you want compared to players you want compared to beers. Your input. We'll talk about it. We're down for whatever. Slide into our GMs. # slide into our GMs. Or email us at pleasedunkresponsibly@gmail.com. Oh, yeah. Please send us beer.
Do whatever you want. Just ask questions. Yeah, like, we're all about that.
You want to see us shoot some hoops? Maybe we'll do it once it's okay.
One day we're doing it.
I'm going to can so many trays. You don't even know. I will never Is It the Gueuze. It's just, it's not.
None of us are doing that.
Ground bound for sure. Wasn't particularly athletic on the jumping when I was a youth. It's definitely not there as an adult.
Yeah. My jumping days are over, sir. But I have a killer little jumper there and a little turnaround. I got that old man shakes. We could do.
Yeah.
We could do something there.
I've had that old man game for decades.
I've been preparing for this.
My jump shot has definitely taken a beating.
Well, being an adult sucks. Like, I mean, come on, man. This is how it is.
Anyway,
doing podcasts and being famous is
that's
hard life.
Look, we can't be hooping and hopping like we used to. But we can. Please dunk responsibly. I've been one of your hosts, Ben Rice. You can follow me across social media at BarleyMePod. Phil, where can they find you?
Culinary Lando on Instagram. I am Chef Sportsman on Twitter now. And, just follow me looking around. Like, I'll be around. We're trying to do some cool stuff, hopefully this summer. Mm-hmm. Maybe some food, maybe some beers, definitely a basketball game. We're going to do some really cool stuff in the future. So I'm really excited.
Yeah. So thank you so much for listening. Before we go, I'm Ben Rice.
And I'm Phil Webster.
Telling you to please
dunk
responsibly.